Hello, nerds. Welcome back to Generally Nerdy. This is your week in Nerdom, your twice weekly source for nerd news headlines. I am Dustin, and this is the video for March 22nd, 2019. First thing, as we're coming in from the intro, obviously we're not in our regular recording situation. Things this week have been a little hectic, trying to get stuff going for the live show later, trying to get all kinds of stuff happening, so I had to record in a pinch. So that's why we are not in our regular setup. But starting things off, we are in music. We actually have quite a bit to cover this week, so I'm going to try and go as fast as I can. First, the Motley Crue biopic. It's not a documentary. The biopic, Motley Crue, that's the adaptation from Nikki Sixx's book, The Dirt, finally launched on Netflix this week, and I'm going to save you the trouble of a review and just say don't watch it. It's kind of bad. Next, we're talking about Slipknot, and this is a real quick follow-up to the ongoing issue that they've had with Chris Fehn, their one-time third drummer. Chris Fehn has now officially filed his lawsuit suing the band for what he claims to be missing wages from a company that they set up reportedly without his knowledge. So that exists now. And then our last bit of news has to do with Woodstock 50. We talked quite a few episodes ago about the announcement of Woodstock 50. Well, since that video, they have announced the dates that it's going to happen. It's going to be this August 16th, 17th, and 18th. They also have released the acts that are going to be on it. I will link that down in the description. And one of the biggest bands that was there in the 69 version that's not going to be there this year is The Who. And a lot of people have taken note of that. A lot of people are wondering why that is. And there's a number of reasons, but the biggest reasons are Daultry and Townsend don't really want to do it. And I mean, really, can you blame them? Let's jump into TV news, and TV news is going to be quickish. First up, we have Star Trek Discovery. This is only news to Trekkies who aren't really Trekkies. If you're just jumping onto the Star Trek bandwagon, we welcome you. Though this is going to be a shock to you and only you, because longtime Trekkies already know that Captain Pike and Number One are only short-lived characters, because Pike is a temporary assignment to the Discovery. So they will both be ending, both Anson Mount and Rebecca Romijn will both be ending their tenure with Star Trek Discovery at the end of Season 2. Next is actually a super exciting update for old school science fiction, old school, early 90s, I guess is more appropriate, science fiction nerds. Sliders, the TV show that was once on Fox, I believe, and then the rights got sold to Sci-Fi. Apparently, John Rhys-Davies and Jerry O'Connell are both in talks with ABC to reboot the series. This is all according to Flickering Myth. And they apparently talked about this with Flickering Myth at Toronto Comic-Con last weekend. Next up, we're going to move into movie news, and Slash Film is reporting that Dune is not only well underway, which we've known for a little while, but they have also brought in Hans Zimmer to score the soundtrack. And for those of you that don't know, Hans Zimmer's done so many movies. I like IMDb him or Wikipedia, whatever you got to do. Google the dude. Hans Zimmer is world-renowned composer. He's done so much epic cinema music. This is just another great addition to a cast of great additions. Next up is the Scary Stories documentary. No, not the movie we're going to be getting from Guillermo del Toro later, but a documentary that is going to be done about the books that the movie Guillermo del Toro is doing, the movie is based on. So the documentary about the books, it just received a secure release date. They have been working on this since 2015. The original release date was 2016, so it's a little past its prime, but July 16th is the official release date for Scary Stories, the documentary on the series. And then, final update on the Disney-Fox merger. It has come to an end as of yesterday, so Thursday, the 21st. The acquisition has finalized, and Thursday was a bit of a bloodbath. There are a bunch of executives that are now out of work. Surprisingly, Fox 2000 Studios is going to be closing up shop once they are done with their current set of projects, which was not in the original plan. The original announcement said that Fox 2000 Studios was going to stay open. So also a bunch of executives left before the acquisition came to an end, just in a preemptive notion. And one of those executives is Paul Feig, who was brought into Fox to do a bunch of R-rated comedies. He had a first look option, I believe is what they call it, which means he makes a movie and Fox gets the first look. They get the first option to produce that movie, to distribute that movie. Well, R-rated comedies are not big in the Disney camp, so Paul Feig took his Feig Co. Production company over to Universal and has already begun producing movies under the Universal umbrella. And nerds, if you want to read all of the changes, I have linked down in the description a bunch of stuff for all of the changes in the Fox corporate structure. It's really, really intriguing. Go read them. It's like 3 articles. It's definitely worth a look. And then our final bit of movie news this week is about Deadwood, and Deadwood nerds rejoice. The long-awaited movie just received its first trailer and an official release date. So the release date is May 31st of this year, and is going to be released straight to HBO. So if you have an HBO subscription or you have either of the streaming options for HBO, May 31st will be the first day that you will be able to watch that movie. And also, nerds, again, a link in the description if you want to see the trailer. It's just a real quick teaser trailer, but it's really, really worth it if you're a Deadwood person. Next up is gaming, and actually this one I might do a whole video for just the Mortal Kombat news we have in gaming. But before we get to that, Google just announced that they're throwing their hat in the ring for the gaming community. They announced the Stadia last week at GDC. The system they're proposing would actually not be a proper system at all. It's basically a controller that links to the cloud, and then from the cloud you watch what happens on your device. So whatever that device that is, be it your computer, your Chromebook, your Chrome, the thing that hooks up to the TV, I can't remember what it's called, Chromecast, there we go. And any of those devices should theoretically stream the games for the Stadia. The big concern across the industry is we've tried this before and it has never gone over well because a lot of people don't have a fast enough connection. The minimum connection, apparently, according to a bunch of that we talked, remember the Google betas that were happening, or alpha testing rather, that was happening approximately 2 or 3 months ago, that went over very, very well. They average clocked about 96 megabits per second, and their minimum requirement for Stadia is only 25 megabits per second. So the question remains, is technology to the point where this is a viable option for gaming? Only time will tell, and I'm passing this one off to you guys. What do you think is going to happen with the Google Stadia? Next is a real quick one for Stranger Things 3. We've gotten a lo-fi gaming experience for the previous 2 seasons of Stranger Things, and season 3 is not going to be any different. The game is set to officially launch July 4th on the Nintendo Switch, which I'm down. Then we're talking about Fallout 76. I know, this is one of the games that we just should never talk about, but this one's interesting because the beta mode, the beta testing for survival mode, rather, will begin on March 26th. So next week, just a few days from now, actually. This mode will be a standalone mode that is separate from the main game and has less restrictions on PvP battles. So is this enough to save them, or is this just enough for people to be jerks online? And then rounding out video game news is Mortal Kombat 11. Yes. I should probably just do a straight Mortal Kombat video for this week because we got not just a combat cast, but we also got the C2E2 panel that happened shortly before I filmed. And there's some really awesome stuff that happened in that panel. First, we got some story mode videos that have to do with Scorpion and Jackie Briggs. If you were watching the sci-fi stream, then you know that they exist, but you didn't really see them. There is a short clip of the Scorpion video at the end of the stream. If you're watching the Mortal Kombat stream on the Mortal Kombat YouTube channel or on the Twitch stream, then you didn't see the first 10 minutes or so of the panel in which they referenced these story modes. And then when they cut to a yellow screen on the sci-fi stream and said, hey, we can't show you this because reasons. So that being said, we did get a couple of really awesome announcements that everyone got to see. Hopefully those story mode videos will be posted in the next few days, but Lord only knows. What we did get 100% confirmed is Noob Saibot, and epic, so amazing. Noob Saibot and Shang Tsung will both be in the game. Shang Tsung is played by Cary Tagawa, the guy who played him in the original movie, so that's also pretty awesome. And they did an amalgamation of his face and the old sorcerer face from Mortal Kombat 1. So yes, please. That was brilliantly done. And actually the way they incorporated him into the game, he's not in story mode. Just like I said, he's not going to be in story mode. He is the keeper of the crypt, though. Don't want to call him the crypt keeper because licensing and such. But he is going to be the keeper of the crypt. He is the avatar, if you will, that walks you through the crypt. And we also saw a little bit of the crypt in that you have an avatar yourself as you walk through the crypt that looks kind of like a young Hanzo Hasashi, which is very interesting. Perhaps that is going to be the mythical 29th character, whoever your avatar is. Once you've gone through a certain portion of the crypt, maybe that avatar becomes playable. Maybe it is a young Hanzo Hasashi, and that's why you can spear things in the crypt. We don't know until the game launches or until it leaks. So hopefully one of those two things happens very soon. April 23rd cannot come fast enough. And this is one I think maybe people missed during the stream. Derek Kurtzik, who does the Combat Cast with Tyler Lansdowne, was on the panel, and he was talking about the different towers at one point. And there's a part where he's talking about the different game modes where it sounds like he's alluding to tag team. There's going to be towers that revolve around tag team of some sort. So crossing fingers, that's going to be so awesome. But that is all we have for video game news. For gaming news. Next up is comic books. As it does every episode, this is rounding us out for today. And first we have Absolute Carnage. Cletus Cassidy will be back in a solo book starting in August. Donnie Cates and Ryan Stegman will be the two in charge of it. Donnie Cates is the writer and Ryan Stegman is the artist. This is going to span some time. Seems a lot of what Marvel's doing is covering a lot of distance in their history, and this is one of those things that's going to go through all of the Maximum Carnage and all of these different Carnage stages, and apparently everyone is fair game. The first cover shows Carnage in a graveyard with graves all around him, reading Logan and all of the different names of people who are associated with that character. So that looks really awesome. And then our last bit is probably the most intriguing thing I saw in comic books this week, actually. It's a series called History of Marvel Comics. or history of Marvel, I think more specifically. Mark Waid is going to be the writer, and it is going to be a rather ambitious undertaking because it's a 6-issue series that is supposed to fill in everything that's happened in Marvel Comics from its inception to now. Now, I understand a fair portion of what is going on currently, and a fair portion of what happened in the past has been retconned for certain reasons. So this is probably just to smooth over all of those rough edges. Still sounds very, very ambitious to do in just 6 issues. This is probably one that I would not be surprised if about halfway through they bump it up to 8 issues. The art in the series will be provided by Javier Rodriguez and Alvaro Lopez. And that, nerds, is the end of your week in Nerdom. What did I miss? What should we talk about in the next episode? Actually, next week is not going to be normal episodes for the week in Nerdom. We are doing a live episode, so that is going to happen next Thursday. So there will not be an early week episode next week for the week in Nerdom. But what should we cover in the live episode next week? Let me know in the comments down low. If, though, you want to go deeper into the conversation, jump over to the website, generallynerdy.net, or the Patreon, patreon.com/generallynerdy. There is more stuff up on both of those, though, as you would imagine, there's even more on the Patreon than anywhere else. So go check it out, generallynerdy.net or patreon.com/generallynerdy. If this is your first time at Generally Nerdy, then please click the subscribe button. If you liked the episode, click the like button. If you did not like the episode, there's a dislike button for you as well. If you're falling behind on your nerd news and you want to catch up, then you can click or tap that box right there to the left of my face to do that. But before we visit websites and do all the stuff, guys, always remember that if it's generally nerdy, it's probably here.